In this video, we're going to look at how to solve a linear equation. That would be a first degree equation. So let me point out, anytime you see a variable, say x, that's the same thing as 1, coefficient of 1. And the exponent is understood to be 1. So if you just see x by itself or y or any other variable, and there's no coefficient in front, it's understood to be 1. There's no exponent written, it's understood to be 1. If it has some other exponent, you have to put it in. So if you're looking at, say, 2x squared to the second power, that has to be written in there. Okay. So before we start the procedure for solving linear equations, and we're going to start with some very basic ones and kind of build up to a little bit to some that are more complicated. So what does it mean to solve an equation? To solve an equation means to find the number, or in some cases numbers, because there could be more than one answer. For first degree equations or linear equations, you expect one solution. But later on you get into, say, quadratics. Those will have at most 2 solutions. You have cubic equations, could have at most 3 solutions. Some might be repeated, but you could have more solutions. So again, when they ask you to solve an equation, they're asking you to find the value of the variable. In this case it's x, it could be a y, it could be a z. Find the value of the variable that makes the equation true. Because an equation is a statement of equality. So in this case, we look at this first equation, x minus 5 is equal to 11. We're saying that if you replace the x by some number, the left side will be the same value as the right. So if I replace the x by 0, on the left side, I get a minus 5. On the right side, I get 11. So negative 5 does not equal to 11, so I know that 0 is not a solution. And there's some where you can look at the equation and figure out what the answer is. But we're going to go through some steps, because later on you get into more complicated equations, and you need to know the steps to get the answer. So what we want is we want x by itself on one side, so that we can say the number x, or the value of x, is equal to, and then give the answer. So here we're asking x minus 5 is equal to 11. What is x? X is the number. So we're going to use properties of equality, which tell you you can add the same number to both sides of the equation and you still have equality. Okay? Nothing changes there. You can subtract the same number from both sides of the equation and everything is still balanced. Okay? Just like you have weights. Okay? And you put certain weight on the right side, certain weight on the left side. As long as it's the same weight, same number of pounds, it's going to stay balanced. But if you add more weight to the other side, it's going to be tilted. Same sort of thing here. You want to add the same thing. So in this case, the procedure is to isolate the x. Okay, so on the left side we have x minus 5 is equal to 11. We want to get rid of that minus 5. So I know that if I add the opposite to negative 5, which is a 5, that will cancel. So let's do that. Add 5 to both sides. So x minus 5, and then we add 5 here, minus 5, 5, that cancels. That gives me 0, so I just get x. And then on the right side, 11 and 5 is 16. Does that work? Well, 16 minus 5 is 11. That checks. That's your solution. We're going to go through step by step, and then I'm going to come back and give you some shortcuts to some of these problems. So the solution to the first one is x is equal to 16. So here we go to the next one. So this one has minus x plus 3 is equal to 8. So this is saying I have a number x, and I take the opposite, because that's what this means. This minus sign in front of the x actually means a minus 1. So I'm multiplying that x by negative 1. So if I take the opposite of some number and add 3, I get 8. What is the number? So again, we do the same thing. We want the variable by itself. So always try to simplify each side if you can. So far, we haven't had anything to combine on either side other than just isolating the variable. So here, I want to get the x by itself, so I want to cancel the 3. So I'm going to add a negative 3 to both sides. I know that negative 3 will cancel. Okay, and then I'm going to say, okay, 3 and negative 3 cancels. So on the left side, that leaves me with a minus x. 8 and negative 3, the signs are the opposite, so I subtract the 3 from the 8, and I take the sign of the larger. So in this case, the 8 is larger. So 3 from 8 is 5, and that's a positive 5. Okay, but I want x equals to a number. I don't want negative x, okay? So I want to get rid of this negative. So how can I get rid of this negative over here on this side? Well, I can multiply a negative times a negative, and that'll give me a positive here, but I have to do it to the other side, okay? So what I do then is I say, put a negative here. So it's a negative times a negative 1x. So this negative, when I multiply it, gives me a positive x. And then the negative, same thing on the other side. A negative 1 times a positive 5. Know your rules for sign numbers, okay? For addition, for subtraction, for multiplication. Negative 1 times 5, positive 5 gives me a negative 5. Okay. X is by itself. The numbers on the other side. That's your answer. X is equal to negative 5. Okay, now you can check it. Put a negative 5 where the x is. So if I put a negative 5 where the x is, it would look like this, okay? Where I have the x, put a negative 5. And then I'm supposed to get what I have on the other side, okay? On the other side. So I have negative x, so then the x is negative 5, and then it's plus 3. That has to give me 8 in order for this to be a solution. Well, do the calculations. Negative times a negative is a positive, so this gives me a positive 5 plus 3. And of course 5 plus 3, they're both positive, is a positive 8. That checks. That's what I had on the right side, positive 8. That's your solution for that one. So let's cancel this. Go to the next one. So here I have 5x equal to 20. Now, if there's no plus sign between the number and the variable, then it's a multiplication. So don't think of that as 5 plus x equal to 20. It's 5 times x, not 5 minus x or 5 plus x. It's 5 times x. So we're saying 5 times what number is 20? Now you should be able to figure that in your head. But what are we taught to do here? If we go through the steps, we say what I want to do is I want to make this 5 into a 1. Okay? Because then I would have 1x. So what can I divide by? Well, I know that 5 divided by 5 is 1. So let's divide by 5. But whatever I do to one side, I have to do it to the other side. Otherwise, it's not legal. You're not going to get the right answer. So, see, these divide out. Those divide out. And that just gives me 1x. I don't have to put the 1 there. It's understood. So you can just put x. But on the other side, it's 20 divided by 5 is 4. And that should be your answer. Confirm it. Put a 4 right there where the x is. Okay? That's 5 times 4 is 20. Checks. Okay, we'll clear this now. On the next one, we have a negative 2x minus 4 is equal to 8. Minus 2x minus 4 is equal to 8. So we want to isolate the x term. So the x term, that's this one right here. So again, always simplify each side if possible. So far we haven't had to do that. So what we do here is isolate the variable. So this is a minus 4. So we're going to add the opposite of minus 4 is a 4. So we'll add 4 to both sides. And then combine. So what we're doing is isolating the term with the x so that we can eventually isolate the x or get the x by itself. So here then this will give me with a minus 2x. Get the minus 4 and the 4 cancel. And then 8 and 4 is 12. So now I have a negative 2x is equal to 12. Negative 2x is equal to 12. What is x? And you could probably figure that out without going through the steps here. But we go through the steps here and say, okay, I want to make this negative 2 into a 1. What can I do? Well, this is times. So generally you're going to do the opposite operation. Multiplication, the inverse operation is division. So I divide both sides by a negative 2. Not a 2, because if you divide by a 2, the answer is going to come out to a minus x. I want positive x. Okay, but the coefficient to be positive 1. Divide this side by negative 2. Okay, these divide out. That becomes a 1. So I just write that as x. And then 12 divided by a negative 2. Know your signs. You're dividing a positive by a negative. So the answer is going to come out negative, and then just 12 divided by 2 is 6. So the answer is x equal to negative 6. And you can check these. Go back over here. Negative 6 times a negative 2. Right here, let's do the first part. Negative 6 times a negative 2. That's a 12. Okay? And then you're subtracting 4. You're supposed to get the number on the right side, and we do. 12 minus 4 is 8. That one checks. Clear this. And then I'm going to go through these steps here, and then we'll come back and look at some shortcuts that you can take when you're working these types of problems. So I have to clear this. So here I've got 3x minus 4 is equal to 7 minus x. 3x minus 4 is equal to 7 minus x. Okay, so we can't simplify the left side. We can't simplify the right side. So what we do then is try to get the x's on the same side. So what I'm going to do is, it doesn't matter which side you get the x's on, or the variable, as long as they're on one side, either the left or the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an x to this side, because I want to cancel this x and put it over here. Okay? So add x to this side. That's legal as long as I add x to this side. And then I want the numbers on the same side. Okay, so here I have a minus 4. Since I want the x, since I'm going to put the x's on the left side, I want to get rid of this minus 4. So I'm going to add a positive 4 here. Add a 4 here, and then I add it over here. And now we combine. Okay, so now 3x and 1x. Remember, this is a 1x, so 3x and 1x is 4x. I'll put this over here. And a minus 4 and a 4 gives me 0, so I can just leave that out, cancel out. And then on the right side, minus x and an x, and these cancel out. I got the numbers left. 7 and 4 is 11. So now I have 4 times a number is equal to 11. What is the number? So you can do it in your head, but if they want you to show the steps, then it would say, okay, to make this 4 into a 1, so I can get a 1x, I want to divide by 4, not a negative 4. Okay? You see, it's the opposite operation. So for addition, the opposite operation is subtraction. For subtraction, the opposite operation is addition. So that's normally what we're doing. So here I'm dividing both sides by 4. This cancels out. I get a 1. So I get x is equal to 11 over 4. That's your solution. Now, if you get an answer to be a fraction, just make sure it's reduced. Like if you have something like, say your answer comes out to 4 over 8. Normally, your teacher's going to want it to be in simplified form. So 4 over 8, you reduce it to divide by 4, and 4 here, you get 1/2. Now this one right here doesn't have any factors, but it is an improper fraction. So if your teacher wants it as a mixed number, divide the 4 into the 11. That goes twice. And then we have, what, 3 left over? So you can write your answer, instead of 11 over 4, you can write it as 2 3/4. Look at the next one. Over 3, 2x over 3 is equal to 7 over 5. We could divide both sides. We could divide both sides by the coefficient. There's 2/3 and 2/3. Okay, so we could do it this way. We could say 2x over 3. The coefficient is 2/3. So if I want to cancel it, I divide by 2/3. That's one way to do it. And then on the other side, I have 7/5. And divide that also by 2/3. Okay. So on the right side, we're dividing 7/5 by 2/3. So the 2/3 here and the 2/3 here divide out. That just gives me an x. And that's going to equal 2. And then on the right side, I have 7/5 divided by 2/3. That's division. So keep in mind that when you're dividing fractions, you invert and multiply. So this becomes, invert the divisor at 2/3, make it at 3/2. And then multiply. Okay, when you're multiplying fractions, multiply the numerators and multiply the denominator. So 7 times 3 is 21. And 5 times 2 is 10. So x is equal to 21 over 2. And like I said, I am going to go through some other shortcuts that you can use to solve some of these problems. But here we're trying to go through all the steps. Let's clear this. So let's look at the last two. We could do the same thing with number 7 as we did earlier. We have x's on both sides. We have x over 3 and x over 2 here. But we have fractions. So we could do the same thing, add a negative x over 2 to both sides, add a positive 3/2 to both sides. We can get the numbers on one side and the variables on the other side. But normally what they tell you to do, if you have an equation that has fractions, eliminate the fractions. And you can do that by simply looking at the denominators. You have 3, 2, 3, 2, 6, and 2. 3, 2, 6, and 2. Find the lowest common denominator. Find the lowest common denominator. In other words, find a number that 3, 2, 6, and 2 will divide. Okay. Now if you don't find the smallest one, but you find one that all of these will divide, it's still going to work if you simplify. So it should be clear to you that the lowest common denominator is 6. All of these will go into 6. 3 into 6 will go, 2 into 6 will go, 6 into 6, and so forth. So just multiply everything by 6. Okay, each term at both sides. So here 6 multiplies the x over 3. So here's what you do. Before you do the multiplication, just divide out. 3 into 6 goes 2, and then 2 times x is 2x. Okay, then the next one, minus 3/2 times 6. Now you could say 6 times 3 is 18, and then divide by 2. Works out the same way. But I'm going to do it this way. 2 into 6. 2 into 6 is 3, and then 3 times the minus 3 is a minus 9. Now the same thing on the right side. I could say 6 times 1 6 will be 6 over 6. That's 1. Or you can go 6 into 6 is 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, here on the next one I could go 6 times x over 2 will give me 6x over 2, and then divide by 2. Okay, and I get 3x. Or I could just say 2 into 6 is 3 times the x is 3x. There you have it. We get the x's on one side. Okay. Now again, I've been getting the 6 on the left side. It doesn't really matter. Look here. If I say okay, I'm going to get them on. Now I'm going to get the variables on the right side. So I'm going to add negative 2x to this side to cancel this one, and that's legal as long as I head it to this side. Okay, and then okay, the numbers on one side, so the numbers are going to be on the left side in this case. So I'm going to need to get rid of this 1. So I'm going to add a -1 and a -1. So what do we have? Okay, these cancel out. The 1 and -1 cancel out. So I get -9 and -1. That's -10. Equals 2. And then 3x and -2x, the signs are different there, so I subtract the 2 from the 3, take the sign of the larger, which is 3. I get 1x or just x. So x is equal to -10. And you can check your answers. It's a little bit harder to check it here because you have fractions. But yeah, this one will check. Let's clear this. And let's go to the last one here. Now this one again, if you have any parentheses on one side, go ahead and simplify, combine terms, and then we're going to go through the main steps. So here, I have 3 and then I have parentheses. That means the 3 multiplies everything inside the parentheses. So what we do is say 3 times 2x is 6x. And then 3 times a -1 is a -3. Okay. On the right side, I don't have any parentheses, but I do have some like terms. I can combine x's with x's. So 4x minus 2x is 2x. Combine your terms. And then what's left? I have a +3 here. Okay, now I have a x on the left side, x on the right side. So what I'll do, again, it doesn't matter what side you get the x's on, the variable on, whether it's the right or the left. Here I'm going to go back to the left side. So I'm going to add -2x to cancel this one. That's okay, as long as I do it on the other side. -2x over here. Okay, the numbers are going to be on the right side now. So -3 to go to the other side, I have to add +3. There's just about 3. Then a 3. And then now 6x minus 2x is 4x. -3 and 3 cancel, that goes to 0. 2x minus 2x, that goes to 0. I'm left with 3 and 3 is 6. Okay, now, kind of like the first ones we did, I have 4x is equal to 6. I want 1x, or just x, equal to some number. So let's divide through by the coefficient of the x, which is 4. We're dividing. 4 over 4 is 1, so I get just x, or 1x, equals. And then all you're going to do is reduce this. Divide 2 and 2 here. 2 into 6 is 3. And 2 into 4 is 2. So the answer in lowest terms is 3/2. X is equal to 3/2. Now if you want to write that, or if they ask for the answer as a mixed number, you can divide 2 into 3. That's 1 with 1 left over. So you can write your answer as 1 and 1/2. Okay, depending on what they want. But this is the reduced simplified answer. Now those are the main steps. Now I'm going to go back and just go through some shortcuts. Based on the procedure that we did, here's the way it works. Okay, solving the equation. We want the x's on one side, the terms on the other, the numbers on the other side, and we want the answer in simplified form. So I have x minus 5 is equal to 11. Okay, so here's, based on what we did, you should have noted that to change the sign, or if I take a term or a number to one side of the other side of the equation, it changes the sign. So I want the x's on one side, so I don't want the -5 here. So take it over to the other side. That's legal. Just change the sign opposite of what it is. It's -5. When we take it over, it becomes +5. So x is equal to 16, which is what we did, or what we got earlier. Now here again, the same sort of thing. I have a -x plus 3 is equal to 8. I want the x's on the same side. Okay, numbers on the other side. So I just say, okay, -x. Take the 3 over. Just make it opposite sign. So that leaves me with -x. 8 minus 3. 8 subtract 3 is 5. I don't want minus x, I want positive x, or just x. So I'll multiply both sides by -1. Then this cancels the negative over here, but when I multiply the 5 by -1, it becomes a -5. That's the answer. Shortcuts here. But work the problems out the way your teacher wants you to do it. If he or she wants you to show the work, then show the work. Okay, the next one. You have x times a number is equal to a number. You simply divide this into that. 5 into 20. X will be, coefficient of x will be 1. It's 4. There you have it. X equal to 4. Anytime you have x multiplied by a number equals to a number, just simply take whatever the number is in front of the x, divide it, and then give your answer in simplified form. In this case, it comes out to a positive 4. Okay, the next one. Minus 2x minus 4 is equal to 8. Okay, so I have x term on the left side only. So I just need to get rid of this minus 4. Take it over to the other side, just change the sign. It becomes a plus 4. Okay. So now simplify, combine terms, numbers with numbers, variables with variables. Minus 2x, and then 8 plus 4 is 12. And then again, if you have a number times x equal to a number on the right side, just divide the coefficient into that. So x will equal to 12 divided by -2. Okay, it's positive divided by a negative, so you know the answer will be negative, and then the 2 into the 12 is 6. So we get x is equal to -6. Which is what we got a while ago. You can always pause the video if it's going too fast. Just pause it, rewind it, and watch it again. Let's clear this. Next one. 3x minus 4 is equal to 7 minus x. 3x minus 4 is equal to 7 minus x. So I want the variables on the same side. So very simple. Just go 3x then. I'm going to put them on the left side. So just bring this x over, make it a plus. Take this minus 4 over, make it a plus. Opposite sign, so 7 plus 4. And then, remember that's a 1x on the variable here, so it's 3x plus 1x. Okay, 3 and 1 is 4. So 4x. And then 7 and 4 is 11. Okay, again, anytime you have x times a number equal a number, just divide this into the number over here, or write it as a fraction if it doesn't go evenly. So x will equal to 11 over 4, which is what we got earlier. The next one, we did this one by dividing by 2/3 here. It was a little bit complex, but anytime you have a single fraction on the left side, a single fraction on the right side, you can also just cross multiply. That'll also work. So 5 times 2x is 10x. 3 times 7 is 21. This is always going to work as long as it's like this. Now if you have a plus x over here on this side, something like that, that's not going to work. But if it's a single fraction, with the variable there, and then over here just another fraction, it's cross multiply. 3 times 7 is 21. 5 times 2x is 10x. It doesn't matter what side these are. It could be 21 equals to 10x. The answer is going to come out the same. Divide by 10, or again, the rule is, shortcut is just divide this into that. It's going to equal to 21 over 10. Okay, let's clear that. This one here, again, we still got to start the same way as the other one. So we multiply through by the lowest common denominator, which is 6. Now, if you multiply it by 12, it's going to work. Okay? Or you multiply it by 24, it's going to work. Because if you simplify it, the answer is going to come out the same. Makes it easier, though, if you find the smallest number that all of these will divide. So again, we go 3 into multiplying each term here on both sides by the 6. So again, the way I do it here is 3 into 6 is 2, and then times x is 2x. And then 2 into 6, multiplying here, but I can just divide it first. 2 into 6 is 3 times the minus 3, that's minus 9. Then 6 times 1, 6. 6 is cancelled out, I get 1. The next term, x over 2 times 6, divide the 2 into the 6. Get 3 times x is 3x. And then get your x's on one side, the numbers on the other side. So again, it doesn't matter whether you get the x's on the right side or the left side. I'm going to do it over here on this side, so I'm going to say, okay, 2x. Bring the 3x over, it becomes a minus, opposite sign. Okay, I want the 9 over. Minus 9 over becomes positive 9, so it would be 9 and 1. So 2x minus 3x. Okay, it's like saying again, bring down the x and add the coefficients, or subtract them, whatever the rule is. Here in this case, 2 minus 3 is a negative 1. So I'll make that a negative x. 9 and 1 on the right side is 10. Okay, again, this is like a negative 1. So again, it's negative 1 times x equal 10. What do we do? Negative 1 into 10. So that's negative 10. X is equal to negative 10. That's going to work. That's the same thing we got doing the other way. Okay. Clear this. Now, the last one, again, we still have to go through the same procedure before we can use any kind of shortcut here. So multiplying here by 3x is 6x. 3 times a minus 1 is a minus 3. On the right side, combine your like terms. Always simplify each side. If you can add terms, go ahead and do it. So 4x minus 2x is 2x. And a plus 3. Okay. And now using the shortcut, I'm just going to say, okay, I want the x's on one side, numbers on the other side. It doesn't matter which way you do it. So I'm going to say x is on the right and the left side. So bring the 2x over. I get 2x minus 2x. I brought this one over. Changes the sign. Okay? It's the same thing as adding the opposite. Okay? We're just doing the shortcut. And then on the right side, the 3 stays. And then on the left side, I want to get rid of this minus 3, so I take it over. So just change the sign. 6x minus 2x is 4x. Now you combine terms on each side. On the right side, we combine numbers. 3 and 3 is 6. So I get 4x is equal to 6. Okay, again, divide 4 into 6. Okay, so this becomes, that's the shortcut, x is equal to 6 over 4. So x is equal to 6 over 4. And then just reduce it. 2 into 6 is 3. 2 into 4 is 2. So this comes out to 3 halves. Well, like I said earlier, you can write it as 1 and 1/2. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.